Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. Welcome. It's Monday, April the 28th, 6:37 p.m. Thank you so much for your support. We are live right now. About 20 people joining us at the moment. More to come as well. So um, stay tuned because we have a packed show today. A lot of topics to touch on. So before we start, we're coming for a 3-0 victory against Atlanta United in the MLS Eastern Conference Clash. To me, this match, and I think to John as well, it was more than just a win. It was a statement of the intent of the Orlando City Lions, who snapped a 3-game scoring drought, and they extended their shutout streak to a club record, a fourth consecutive game, and showcased obviously how well this offense is gelling and now how well the defense is gelling as well under Oscar Pereja. Top three coach in the MLS, whether you like it or not. Goals of Luis Muriel, Alex Freeman, Marco Pasalic. Orlando City claimed 3 crucial points for May is coming, and it's not winter's coming. May is coming. In May, we have at least the first 2 weeks of May are going to be tough for Orlando City. So as many points as we can get, the best. So we're going to be talking about that. John, how are you, my friend, before we have our guest that just joined?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Good. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we're all good. Just like to check, welcome to everybody who's here. Thank you for being here. Please, drop a like for us, share, let your friends know Loud and Proud Orlando is live here every Monday at 6:30 to talk Orlando City. Let's
Perfect.
do it.
Before we go to with our guests, we're going to touch on the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about obviously the news that broke out a few days before the game. Luiz Muzzi and Ricardo Moreira have been promoted to different promotions. Muzzi with more of like a global soccer ambassador for the Wolves, and then Ricardo taking Luis's old position as GM and sporting director. Also, a partnership with AFC Bournemouth from the Premier League. So we'll touch on that. And for people that are not used to, these type of partnerships, we will kind of, I'm sure John will explain, what it means. It's huge. OCB, quick recap. Unfortunately, talking about some negative news for OCB. Orlando City beat down, obviously, Clubber down in Atlanta. We're going to preview Chicago. We're going to have the lineup predictions, and we also have an announcement regarding Goals TV, which brings us to our guest today. So we have with us here Jose Tellez from Goals TV. Jose, how are you, my friend?
Luiz, I appreciate the intro, man. And John, thank you for the invite as always, man. I appreciate it. I'm doing well. Recovered my voice from the weekend. For those who don't know, I'm a big Barcelona fan and won the Copa del Rey, man. So my voice was legitimately gone all Saturday night. Recovered a little bit yesterday and just in time for the show.
Awesome. So good to have you. John, you want to brief us and kind of introduce us to what we're going to be announcing in a few minutes?
Yeah, reason Jose is here is because, I'm going to let him actually kind of tell you because he does better than us. But we, some of you may have noticed that I've been on a show a few times here, all about MLS that Jose does called Wake Up MLS, and that's part of his show, Goals TV, and everything that he does under the Goals TV banner that he's going to tell you about. The reason we're going to tell you about that is because Loud and Proud Orlando is also joining Goals TV. So everything we do is going to be associated and doing stuff on their platform, which, Jose, tell everybody what is Goals TV.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I do think that it's something that, especially in rest of 2025, going to 2026, has some big plans for the platform. But at the end of the day, man, what Goals TV is I would say, North American creator-led streaming platform. At the end of the day, it is tailored specifically to soccer fans, football fans, however you really see it. All that's trivial to me at the end of the day. I think what matters most is that I've always believed the sport is so damn big, it needs to have a place on the internet to call it home. And more importantly, I think it needs to be led by, in my opinion, the most authoritative voices in the game, which to me aren't players of yesteryear. They're not the pundits that we see on the weekend, televising all of the matches and whatnot. It truly is guys just like John, just like Luiz, creators who are fans first, who have a deep lying passion for this game, for their respective neighborhoods, their teams, their clubs, and want to see the sport become the preeminent sport. We want to see soccer reach its potential on this side of the world, not just be a top 4, top 5 sport. And we believe here at Goals TV that the path to doing that is by spotlighting creators, content from the most authoritative voices in the market. And like I said, for us, those are creators just like Loud and Proud Orlando. At this point of where we are today, we've got creators from all over MLS, all over USL, college soccer, high school soccer.
The moment of discovery.
There you go, Eric Winalda. But literally, and that's probably who I should have led with. Eric will be disappointed that I did not lead with him. But at the end
He's
of the
great,
day,
by the way. He's great.
I definitely,
Yes.
again, he's sort of a proof of concept for us. But
Yeah,
again,
for
I'm
sure.
very passionate about this. Anybody who I think talks to me about this for more than 5 minutes probably knows. But we're excited to have Loud and Proud Orlando on board, just like we're excited to work with every creator who believes in Goals TV.
For sure, man. I want to say, I really enjoy your content that you guys make. So Goals TV is, I think it's like YouTube just for soccer fans is like how I would describe it. I think Jose did a great job of everything that they're doing and collecting all of this content. So if you like what we make and you want to see other stuff or maybe other teams that you follow, definitely go here. It'd be a good resource to find, all kinds of stuff. And the Unleashed series that Eric does is really, really good. If you're a U.S. national team fan, if you're someone who's interested in the soccer landscape in like America in general, definitely go watch that. He drops a lot of knowledge and a lot of facts on you. So kudos to Jose and everybody over there and everything you guys are doing, because I think it's really cool and we're excited to be part of it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we're definitely very excited to be part of it. And, like John was saying, it's a one-stop shop, guys. So, you guys want to know about, we're playing against Chicago. There's definitely going to be a content creator talking about Chicago here. And always is going to be the latest news of that particular team. So you're always going to be on the loop rather than be browsing around and going to different websites. It's just there. Goals TV, Goals GOLZ.TV. That's where you need to go. And we're just delighted as well for the opportunity that Jose brought to us here, and we're thankful. And I know, John has
Hector, I agree with you.
put me into the Goals TV kind of realm and just kind of checking out a lot of the videos, and it's fantastic. So I also see our good friend Bob there and all of that. So
yeah.
So he's a great guy.
Jose, tell everyone about Wake Up MLS, because that's such a great show for Orlando City fans who want to see more about the league.
Yeah, man. I would say, it kind of was a happy accident, to be fair. Like Wake Up MLS wasn't like something that we tried to pull off in the form of a series. It ended up being like a few different creators who were some of the OGs on Goals TV. Love this idea of, hey, why don't we create like a round table or panel like show where we can be our unhinged selves and just talk about this game like if we were talking about it at a bar. And that's kind of what we aim to emulate week over week, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there's great analysis, there's all kinds of other things happening, I guess you could say, right? Like there's different types of content that we pump out week over week. It could be a monthly power rankings, it could be a preview for the upcoming week of matches. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest point that we want to make with the show is that it features different creators from all over the league, and hopefully it allows them to be a version of themselves they don't get a chance to be on their shows or on their channels for whatever reason, right? Or at a minimum, talk about other teams in a way that they can't really talk about because of how focused their show is or channel is on one specific club or one specific part of the game. So yeah, man, it's a great show. We got a lot of feedback on it. It's still growing. It's still very new. It's only like a year and a half or 2 years old, but you want to keep it going. It's available on, of course, Goals TV. We would love you if you tuned into it there. But at a minimum, it's already on YouTube, just like the Unleashed series is by Eric Winalda. And Eric is, at the same time, just like you guys are, I think massive supporter of the mission that we have here at Goals TV. There is one thing I wanted to tease, I think, a little bit for your audience tonight, which was just that Goals TV is going to undergo some pretty massive changes. I think today, I don't say we're a streaming platform. I do say that, but I like to think of us as a video first platform. And the reason I make that distinction is because I think Goals moving forward is going to start to have a much more social component to it than that. I think in order to grow the game to where we want to see it go long term, it can't just be streaming and reacting to content. I think that's the start of it. But if we want it to really scale up, I think there really has to be one, tangible rewards for watching and engaging with the content, right? Match day tickets, jerseys, like all kinds of things like that. But even beyond that, right, there's got to be a real dialogue amongst the fans. That could be hard-hitting discussions. That could be difficult conversations that the country has maybe been neglecting for a long time around this game. There's a number of different ways to approach it, but we really believe that Goals has to hit a new kind of has to become a new type of platform, a new type of experience for the sport to actually take off. And so you guys will see a little bit more of what I'm talking about throughout the rest of 2025, heading into the World Cup year of 2026. We're going to have a little bit of a rebrand. The platform itself will grow in a massive way, a ton of new features coming. So the rest of 2025 is going to be super exciting for us.
Yeah. And there's definitely a place for all kinds of content. There's Orlando Pride stuff on there, I know, because there's NWSL content. Obviously, we're going to be joining on there. There, literally every kind of soccer you would want to see. There's more and more creators joining every day. So we're really happy to be a part of that. So thank you, Jose, for coming out and explaining everything to us. And everybody needs to go check it out. We're going to be posting our content there every week. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And look, I'll thank you guys both, Luis and John, for having faith in the project, man. At the end of the day, like, you guys didn't have to take a risk on us. We're very aware of that. So I'm just pumped that we now got, again, a great show and two great heads to talk about the Orlando side of the game from both the men's and women's side on Goals TV. So check us out.
Yeah, man. See, I told you we were going to be Atlanta, bro. No worries, man. No worries. No, you don't worry about that. We got that.
John called it. I was a little bit nervous for you guys, but John called it.
Also, Zay's been saying Galaxy are going to win a game all year. So if you want to play
insane. That is insane.
He's called
that
it all
is
year.
insane, man.
That's the kind of insights you're going to get if you watch.
You know what I heard today? It's the craziest thing. Talking about a little bit of Galaxy real quick. I saw a comment. I felt so sad, dude. Because this Galaxy fan is like, we haven't won one single game, but at least they didn't score like 5 on us.
Oh, man.
Like it's getting to that point. It's like, at least, like, he's trying to find some positive in the negative, but it's just like too negative now. I think I feel so sad, man.
Yeah, when you go from being a reigning champion to, God, I hope they don't come in 5. Yeah, it's crazy how far the mighty have fallen. But we might legit not get a win from the Galaxy until El Tráfico. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Jose. Thank you very much. And everybody, I'm sure I'm going to be on Goals TV soon, so I'll promote that and share that everywhere. And look out for us here on their platform. So thank you, Jose.
Thank you both so much, man. I'll catch you guys later.
See ya, man. Luis, let's move on. Shall we talk all about Bournemouth?
Yeah, it's a big. Yeah, hold on. Let me put it the right way here. I don't know why is it doing that now, but here you go. So obviously, we've gotten a lot of partnerships. I think Orlando has gotten a lot of partnerships through its pipeline since USL at some point. Also, when the Orlando City Brazil type of era, was going around as well. We got a lot of partnerships there, but I think there was one with Vasco at some point, or Ponte Preta, something like that, and nothing really panned out of it. Nothing of significance, but there's a couple of clubs. I do follow the Premier League. There's a couple of clubs that are making a lot of buzz in England. And one of them is Bournemouth. The other one is Sheffield, especially because not so much of their first teams, but of their academies. So they're poaching talent from all parts of the world, not just Europe, South America. For example, Sheffield just poached this kid that they saw him in a youth tournament in Peru, poached him, and now he's in the under 23s for Sheffield, and he's about to debut in the Premier League next season. They saw this kid from the Peruvian Danish guy too, Oliver Sohn. They used to play in Denmark. They saw him in qualifiers. They got him from the under 23 team. So they're doing a lot of that scouting and working with other clubs. Them two, to me, are the most prolific. I also heard about Crystal Palace joining and different other clubs. But this is a partnership that I feel like this is really interesting because it's a pathway too for a lot of our youth, a lot of our youth talent, for them to also gain some experience in Europe. So I don't know. What are your thoughts regarding this move, John?
I mean, I think it's at first you would be like, what is the Black Knight Football Club, right? I mean, but they are just the name of the overall affiliation that is across multiple clubs. They own clubs in different continents. This is very common across Europe, like obviously the City Football Group. There's lots of examples of this where you own a team in England, perhaps, and you might have a team in France. Here they have obviously Bournemouth, which has been in the Premier League for 10 years now. Before that, we're more of a championship team, but well established in the Premier League. They have FC Laurent in France. They have Hibernian up in Scotland. They also have Auckland FC in New Zealand, and they are looking to kind of add North American, affiliates. This partnership they have here, I think they actually owns a lot of those clubs. Obviously, they're not owning us. It's more of a partnership with us in terms of, classic football partnership. They do talk about it here, and what they think, it's going to be different things that might be provided between the teams, development opportunities, scouting, all that stuff. We've seen this before. Specifically here, they talk about training and development, scouting and best practices, observational visits and exchanges. I think a lot of what Luiz Muzzi's new role, and what we'll talk about in a minute with his promotion, is going to be doing this kind of thing, as well as, working with the Wilson, the owners, on that side. So for him, I think this is great that he's obviously been working on this for a while. It's a great partnership with a big club, really, in the Premier League, in terms of not massive reputation, but, in terms of what they are, well established, not a team that I feel like are going to drop out of the league in a short amount of time. And, they are a team that have a lot of good players and have good scouting, and they seem to scout well across the world, especially in South America. I've seen a lot of good talents they brought in across Europe. They like to go for those like young sort of 20 to 23-year-olds that are across Europe. They can buy for, 5 to 15 million, bring in, and then turn them over and sell them on for like 30, 40, 60 million to the bigger, top European clubs. So that's what they do best. And I think maybe with us, there's some scouting there. I mean, and I've seen online people talking about, you hate to see it in the future, but, Alex Freeman carries on the way he is. I could definitely see in a year or so, Bournemouth being the perfect kind of club that would go, yeah, we'll buy him from Orlando City. And then, build him up and maybe make him into a Premier League player, which would be very likely at his age. Something that's very interesting here, Luis, the president, Tim Bezbachenko, I knew that name immediately. This guy has actually been he was the GM at Toronto, and then he was the GM at Columbus Crew. Been around the American soccer game, obviously, forever. Went then to this job heading up the presidency of the Black Knight Football Club. And because of that, has the MLS relationships. He was looking for, I guess, an MLS club to partner with. And Luiz Muzzi, I'm sure, knew him from those days. And they have a relationship already. and that's why we're seeing, I think, a beneficial partnership here that is really like we're probably going to use each other as just as much, right? It's not always before it was like parent club and smaller club, and that would be more of the traditional soccer relationship between clubs. Now I think nowadays it's just about sharing like best practices and like scouting, just generally sharing their scouted database of players that they have, methodologies, all that stuff. Maybe there's some players that we might have that they would know about or could ask us about and perhaps get first dibs on. But I think some people think this is always about transfers. It's really more about just having good relationships with other big soccer teams around the world. And this is a Premier League club, so we had one with Stoke when they were in the Premier League. We had one with several other clubs. I mean, I could name you like the Victoria Highlanders, for example.
We never
There's
brought
one that
Peter
nobody
Crouch
knew
here.
about. Huh?
We never brought Peter Crouch.
We never
man.
brought Peter Crouch, We can't. If we bring him now, he'll take our jobs. So he's got a really good podcast. So, yeah. But anyway, a good relationship, a positive thing, and I don't see any downside to this whatsoever. So, good news.
So think about it this way too. I do wanted to add to what he was saying is, so this also is done, at least based on my experience in South America, to pay zero fees in transfers. So for example, it's club to club relationship. So it's better to have club to club relationship that 3 agents, a baby mama, and the club. Like so many middlemen with some, especially young talent sometimes.
But that's only in the scenario where we're buying or, like I would love to loan one of their, because they buy a lot of young South American talent. So that might be something we see where they go, oh, we bought this young Paraguayan 18-year-old who's amazing for like $5 million, but we don't want to play him in the Premier League yet. Let's send him to Orlando City on loan for a season and see what he can do.
And it's literally a
love that.
Well, I mean, Orlando will have to just pay his wages, but I mean, they're going to be
I hope so.
Yeah, and they're all on the. I mean, because of the partnership, they have to be all on their budget and ready to go. Now, another thing is inter-brand collaborations, like trying to make Bournemouth fans to follow Orlando City follow Bournemouth fans and
American presence.
People that were yearning to have a Premier League club. People were going to the Championship, to the League One, to the League Two. Now you could be Bournemouth fans. Vamos Bournemouth. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Well, I think definitely, I haven't looked at where they've gone preseason, but if they're planning a preseason over here, I can imagine a summer friendly like that. Yeah. That's definitely something that could happen. I mean, a lot of the Premier League clubs want presence in the U.S. because they'll make money on jerseys, et cetera, in preseason. So I would imagine Bournemouth are the same.
Orlando is the prime destination for 3 reasons, in my opinion. The first one, it is a tourist destination, which a lot of English citizens come and travel and visit Mickey Mouse and go to the beaches and things like that. So they love coming to Orlando. That's number one. So it sells by itself, even in the off season. Number 2, they just won the under-18 GA Cup. So I mean, it speaks of what the academy is doing. So it kind of matches to what they're doing back in England. 3, I think, is just I mean, why him knowing Columbus, knowing other big brands or bigger brands in the MLS, picked Orlando City? Because Orlando City right now is the hot, young, under budget, no overspending club in the MLS, and they're still probably contenders. They're only I think 2 points away from Inter Miami. They just beat a team that spent over $30 million in signings. So, I mean, all those reasons add up, and I think the multi-partnerships are fantastic. So, for example, there's this groundbreaking tactical training thing happening in England. Bournemouth can facilitate Oscar to travel there and be and learn a new thing, a new skill or things like that. So those type of things are cool. I think that it's always good to, especially for the future and what the club wants to accomplish. I think it's a great move. And also, and I'm going to go ahead and I end with this. If the Wolves feel froggy and they see that the black, this group right here, black, what is it called? Black Knight, right? Black Knight Football Club. They see Black Knight is making a lot of good deals, good signings. They're selling a lot of players for 100 million, 200 million, 30 million, and they want to put their money in there. It's going to be easier for them because they already have a current partnership with one of their clubs. So, and right now everybody wants to invest in soccer, especially because the World Cup's coming, and they can, double, triple their investment, especially when the World Cup is here in the US. So it is a win-win situation for the club. I'm happy when these news come up. So I'm 2 thumbs up for me on 10%.
Yeah, I was just looking at Bournemouth's roster to be like, ooh, who they have Daniel Jebinson, who's a Canadian national team player who's only 21 years old, who's like barely playing for them, who's a striker. So
left back?
No, a striker. So I don't know if they have any left back. I think they have a Mexican left back. I don't know. Yeah, Araujo who's playing. Yeah. They've got some they got Matai Akamboni, who's an 18-year-old USA player.
There you go.
Send him over on loan.
Send him over on loan.
Not even on an international slot.
Do you know why? Why this when the Stoke partnership happened, John? Why there wasn't like a lot of Stoke players coming?
I mean, there was some moves. I mean, it kind of went the other way. Like we had, like Breck Shea and Jeff Cameron. Like they played for both, and like there was some moves. There was moves either ways. Like, it just really depends on in that world, it was able to have that situation where the club was small enough where you were able to kind of make those moves, whereas now it's a little bit more difficult. It's outside, interest. Maybe Bournemouth don't have any interest in sending their players to MLS on loan. We don't know, but it's exciting news. Kudos to Luiz Muzzi and the team for getting this one done.
Bada bangs.
And I know there are some Orlando City and Bournemouth fans, so I'm sure you guys are excited.
Hey, I'm going to start following.
This is Luis's Premier League team now. You're a Cherries fan. Okay.
Obviously, I'm Chelsea, but they're a big, but I think this is my second favorite.
You got time to watch a few Bournemouth games now. All right. Shall we move on to the other news, Luis? The promotion news.
Yeah, the promotion. Yeah. So I mean, it was to me it was expected. I mean, what I can say is this: it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it is really smart to continue the culture that these 3 men have built essentially for the club. Luiz Muzzi, Oscar Pereira, already very important and I know they probably don't want to, go like this or pat themselves in the back, but they really did a great job with the FC Dallas Academy. A lot of the national team players, some of them like even Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie, they came from that system that they created. So they did a lot of the things you see now in Orlando. They did it on a lower scale. Now here they have more of the funds to do essentially and more options to do what they really desired to do. So what Dallas could have been, Orlando's doing right now, And so, the way he mentored Ricardo into the position that he's in currently with this promotion, it makes a lot of sense. And Ricardo also brings fresh group of ideas and thinking outside the box. Now, you can tell anything about Ricardo, and I've gotten this with also some colleagues of mine in the press box about, but he brought Kara, he brought Underwater, and we'll talk about it in just a second. But if you look if you put things in balance, there's more good signings and signings that didn't pan out. And I think every club goes through signings that do not pan out. I'm sure Stoke, John has had many signings that have now panned out in its lifetime. So um, it happens that way. It could be a nagging injury, like when Grant Hill, talking about basketball, Grant Hill and the Magic, for example. People that live in Central Florida for years are going to know about what I'm talking about right now. So it happens, but I'm happy that we're keeping the core of what the club, just to take it to a different level. I think now with Muzzi kind of stepping back, still having some hand in it, but literally focusing more of investments of the Wolves and new projects. Ricardo is going to focus on the soccer operations for the clubs, and it's going to be great. I feel, you know. I'm excited for what's to come for Orlando City. We are a club that does things a little different than others. And, I leave you with the words of Ricardo Moreira: trust the process. John.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of that natural like progression of like we saw this before where they promoted both of them and they changed their titles, but it was still very much like Luis Muzzi was the top of the executive vice president of soccer operations, right? And now he is moving into a whole other role, which is going to be the senior advisor to ownership for global soccer ventures. So for what that means, essentially, the Wilfs, like a lot of owners, understand that maybe they don't know the most about the sport and they're not maybe the ones to make all of the soccer operations decisions. Obviously they let Luis Muzzi do that at a certain level, but now they're kind of graduating him into doing it more for them in terms of like representing their interests, I believe. So obviously they need someone who's going to be on the board and also representing them as the owner's representative when they go and meet with other clubs, like he just did with Bournemouth. Multi-club ownership models, essentially meaning like, overseeing the pride, of course, because the Wolves own several clubs, OCB in there. Of course, they own, the Vikings as well. And there might be more coming in the future. So there's that responsibility. And then the key sporting business initiative. So really just doing everything from a very high level, and really looking after the ownership's interest and being that guy, doing that role, stepping away, like you said, Luis, from the day-to-day of really the year-to-year of being, the actual GM and the EVP of soccer operations, making those decisions. I feel like for a while we've kind of known that Ricardo has been the guy, and like not like officially, but like unofficially, we feel like a lot of the decisions, especially this last transfer window, I feel were more driven by Ricardo. And so I think this was sort of always in the works, and was going to happen. And right after Oscar was announced, we were like, when is this going to happen? Because these guys are also in their last contract. So the last year of their contract. So instead of being a renewal of that same contract, they've both been promoted into new roles. I think Muzzi's role is really interesting, and I think it's great that they have that. And I commend the owners for being like, okay, we need to have somebody who is looking after this and our interests all the time. I know they send people down, and then know they come down a lot for lots of meetings. But there's not the same as having somebody that's like here all the time representing their interests. Yep. So I think that's a great promotion for Luis Muzzi. Mark, Wilf here says, we thank Luis for his invaluable contributions over the past 7 years, and we're thrilled to have him lead our global soccer efforts into this new role. His experience, vision, and commitment to the growth of Orlando City have been key to our success, and we're confident his expertise will continue to drive the club forward. And then on Ricardo, I mean, I think it just makes sense, right? I'm really happy because I think in the past there's been speculation that maybe he was going to get poached away. Like we've seen him go visit Arsenal, and like he's been all over these different clubs all over the world, like all over the the transfer windows when the club is off season or in the summer. We've seen him traveling to different places. You always wonder, like, is he going to talk about players? Maybe one of these trips he's going to talk about a job. But he put a really nice post out. I don't have it here. I wish I'd prepped it, but talking about how Orlando City was, is the original love for him. So I think that really shows that he's a guy that is invested and is a fan and, really wants to win because he loves the club, not just because it's his job to put
Exactly.
a winning team out there. So I think that passion is appreciated. I think we've always seen that from Ricardo. And I think now, it's just more of the same, right? I think this last window was great. We did such a good job. Look at the 4 million for Pasalic, compare that with the right winger they just went up against, bringing back Almiron for 8 million.
Almiron, what did he do,
Like
Almiron,
it's
last
your
game?
24-year-old who's producing, or bring back a guy that is 31 and probably over the hill for double that money. So I think that's the kind of stuff that really makes, even though we could go out and spend all the money, and maybe in the future we will spend more money, for me there's some value in going out and trying to find good quality players that want to be here, that aren't just guys that are motivated by a paycheck. They're motivated because they want to be here and play for the club. And I think that's what Ricardo and Luis have found more than anything, is they always think that's the number one thing, is you're here for the club. You're not just here for you.
It shows the ambition of the club with the Muzzi move. A lot of people, a lot of, I don't know, fans or aficionados or whatever you call it. Oh, this club doesn't, they don't care about us, man. They don't invest enough money, man. They treat us like the Vikings, man. Well, if they wouldn't care about soccer, they wouldn't care about growing the Orlando City brand, the Orlando Pride brand. Number one, they would have never invested in Barbara Banda. They would have never invested in Ailey Carter. They would have not given the position to Seb Hines. And to touch in the city side, they would have not renewed Oscar to 2028. They would have definitely not given Muzzi that title for global. So that means that they don't want to just, you know what I mean? They want to also invest in the sport of soccer in general. And obviously Orlando City is going to be one of them. Maybe they're stepping away out of the NFL. Maybe they could sell the Vikings and with that money go all in. You don't know. It could be.
I think they'll just keep adding clubs, man.
Exactly, right?
They are business owners who enjoy owning sports teams.
Yeah. So Muzzi will do that, and now Ricardo, I think he's been groomed for this position. And I think not only that, as a person, I can speak for both because I've met him in the past. Outstanding group of human beings. I mean, so humble, so direct, super honest. And I think they have the right ethical, not only ethical, but professional background to take this club to another level. And added to the fact that John was mentioning about Ricardo, truly feeling this passion for this club. I mean, you could see it even on the way he walks up and down the press room. I've seen him and when Orlando has been down 2 before the half, or a goal against, or a bad goal, or a goal against Orlando. I've seen them say, guys, it's okay. We'll get better in the second half, and then, hopefully either the team loses and turns around. So they also, just like everybody else in the stands, they feel for the club. It's not just like John saying it's just a job. It's my career. No, this is for them. It's life. I mean, literally, like if you watch what's his name, Dad, that show, Soccer is Life.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Yeah, soccer is life. Exactly.
Football is life.
Football is life. So. Anyways, I'm happy for this decision. I think this is great. And I know a lot of people are not really going to talk a lot about it, but I think it's going to be so detrimental for the growth of the brand and for the growth of the club. And Rome wasn't built in one day, guys. I leave you guys with that. Rome wasn't built in one day. It fell apart in less than 100 days. But that's a history lesson. You don't want to go through that. But there you go.
Alrighty, let's get to the meat. I know today we spent a lot of time talking about Goals TV and promotions at Bournemouth, but there's some big important news, and we feel like it's important to update all of you and on everything that's happening, getting our insights on that. Now let's get to the meat of the conversation, Luis. I know the big one. the 3-0 dub over Atlanta. Your opening thoughts on this one, man?
I mean, it was a tactical masterclass by Oscar Pareja, with Cesar out, with no Tincho, right? Apparently Tincho was questionable. He wasn't put as questionable on the report, but he made it to the bench, and they're just trying to. He's so important for the club that they don't want to overwhelm him physically. Now you could say, "Oh, but Freeman plays every game." I was like, "Yeah, but Freeman is also younger, and Freeman also plays a different position, so and is different human being." So I think with Tincho, because he's a number 10, they want him to rest, and also knowing that they needed more of a defensive presence, especially in the first half, to feel what Atlanta was going to do with Almiron. And they put who better than Soldier Boy, Mr. Kyle Smith, the accountant. And honestly, him and Atuesta are spot on. I mean, 100% spot on. Atuesta was leading the offense. Kyle was right behind him, with the defense. I think it was a really great game by the Lions, a resounding victory in a derby game. People were ecstatic. The wall. I mean, I even tweeted, I'm like, I'm so proud of these guys. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, they made it so hard for Atlanta to concentrate on playing this game at all. They had no chance in hell to win this. And that's the way Orlando needs to feel on a derby game. And I can't wait to see this against Inter Miami too. That type of edge, not only from the players, but also from the crowd. I think it was fantastic. It was a phenomenal game. A goal from Golazo from Pasalic. Alex Freeman again, doing its thing and being one of the best players in the whole entire squad. And then, El Toro, Luis Muriel, he had a couple, but he scored one of the penalty spot. So the VAR went in our favor for once. So I was excited for this win. I feel bad for my two Atlanta colleagues that were on the press box. They didn't finish their food, I do want to say.
Were they from another pod? Who were they?
No,
Do you know them, or they're just press?
No, I think one was Atlanta Beat, and the other one was another website. I think it's like kind of like an Orlando Sentinel type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you can see here in the stats, Luis, everything you said shown, expected goals, if you like a bit of XG, 2.36 versus 0.58. 5 big chances for us, 0 for them. 16 total shots to their 12. Brad Guzan made 3 saves. Pedro didn't make any saves, apparently. So that's wild. Tackles, they had to make 16. Apparently, we only made 4 tackles. That can't be right. That is the wildest stat I've ever seen. But yeah, free kicks, we had 14 free kicks. They had 7. This has got to be wrong. I'm not sure that's right. But anyway, 3-0. A great win, Luis. I feel like that.
Actually,
yeah, you got the stat sheet. Can you double check that for me? Because 14 free kicks seems like a lot. According to Soft Score, that's what it's telling me. The first half, Luis, we were all over them.
Yeah, it is wrong, John.
It is wrong. I was gonna say.
So 6 fouls for Orlando.
Yeah.
15 to Atlanta.
Okay, that they had 7 and 15. And then what's free kicks?
Free kicks?
They put 14 free kicks and 7. That's gonna be wrong. Did we have 14 free kicks?
Yo, they didn't put. Well, they didn't put free kicks here.
Okay. Anyway, an excellent game all round. I mean, both defensively and offensively, we were, by far the better team. As you said, Luis, resting Martin Ojeda, a bold strategy. I think
really bold. People were like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?"
I was like, "What's going on? We need Ojeda in there."
Calma.
Yeah, I mean, we know Muriel can do that role too, and because he's playing better, I feel like he was better at that 10 role than we've seen at times. Duncan McGuire, again, I don't know what's up with Duncan this season. He didn't have the best game, in my opinion. I just don't see him getting into the best positions to score. I feel overall, though, the team played really, really well. Pasalic, a great game. Alexander Freeman, like you said, a great game. The back line, Brekalo, another really good game at left back. I really feel like that solved our left back problem. Angulo even played a lot better in this one.
No, he definitely
Kyle
played much
Smith
better.
ran, I think 6.6 here is harsh on Kyle. I think he did a great job filling in last minute because Cesar had a baby. So congratulations to Cesar Araujo. If you didn't know, that's why he was last minute pulled out of the team, because his wife went into labor. He had to go be there for the birth of his child. In steps Kyle Smith, and a great job he did. Atuesta, so good to have him back. Just so much presence on the ball. Pasalic, an absolute banger for that goal, dude. Brad Guzan, his reaction in that goal is just my favorite thing. Because he thought he was gonna go far post, and he went near post, and you could tell that he was like out of.
It's probably time to hang it up, Brad.
Bro, I mean, I love it. Anytime Brad Guzan looks like a fool, I'm there for it. So Pasalic doing that to him from that far away, and him just not moving was just like chef's kiss on the night.
I asked him, how do you know like where to shoot, man? And he's like, well, it's my weapon.
He looked up. He looked. Did you see though the eyes? He gave him the eyes. He goes, "Oh, I'm going over there," and then he went over there. So it was, and that's why Brad Guzan looks so annoyed, because he fell for it so bad, and Pasalic is that good that he just puts it in the other corner. Beautiful goal.
I just felt the formation for Orlando City in this game, even though that,
Yeah, this is not correct on the screen. I mean, it kind of was the 3-back at times, but we didn't officially play this.
So Pareja loves 4-2-3-1. Everybody knows that, but I feel that I do feel that they play with 3 backs. I do feel for parts of the game at least, and it's just we had a really good day with Brekalo and Angulo. A lot of the wings were spot on, obviously, and Nico Rodriguez also made his debut. He had a couple of touches. He wasn't big influential, but I think he's coming up, and hopefully in the next couple of games we see him having more minutes and having more of a presence there. I do kind of feel that Duncan McGuire, even though he did not score a goal, I feel, he played around 60 minutes or so. He was involved in a few chances, a few transitions here and there. So he's getting into rhythm. I feel he helped, but not having Ojeda, he also helped to kind of, defend that mid and just really make sure, because everyone was pressing. So when Atlanta had the ball, everybody will go behind Atlanta and just trying to get the ball and make them, commit turnovers essentially. So I just felt like he still obviously has a lot left to offer, but he's getting there. I take the positive for Duncan.
He's just in a bit of a drought, is all I'm saying right now. And if I'd have said to you, we are game week 11 now of MLS, and Duncan still hasn't scored a goal, I think you would be like, nah, he would have scored by then. So it's a little, even though he was out, I still expected him, having played the amount of minutes he has this season, to at least have 1 or 2 goals. So he just needs to get off the schneid. He needs to get 1, and then hopefully that will keep him going. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the work ethic is always there from Duncan. Yeah. I'm never going to question that. He did do a really good job on the press. He was getting in good spaces. It just hasn't had that golden opportunity and been able to put it in the back of the net yet. So I'm hoping that he will soon, and then he'll be able to go on a run of scoring.
Cesar obviously was questionable, but a lot of people say, hey, why is not Cesar playing? Well, he just became a dad. So That was a big decision that that happened. And Kyle and Atuesta were the tandem in defense there in the mid with the big names like Almiron and things like that. And honestly, Smith, I know what Smith is going to give you. I think everyone in the Orlando City universe and Orlando Pride universe knows what Kyle Smith can give Orlando City: 110%, 120%. It's not surprising to me to see him thrive and being that Swiss Army knife, but I felt terrible with that Atuesta missed goal because he's been looking for that goal since he arrived to Orlando City. And he just it just went, man, it sky past that post like, so, man, I saw that ball going. I everyone in the press box thought that was a goal. I'm like, yo, that's gonna be a goal. Atuesta's gonna score. And man, it passed so, it's so unlucky. And then obviously he continued looking for the chance, and eventually he's gonna get it. Watch, he's gonna get 2 goals, back to back, hopefully. But Atuesta to me was an important part of the Orlando City lineup for sure, 110% on this game. We have some comments.
Yes, please read the comments.
Jeffrey O, never heard the sick intro # waiting in the lobby beat before. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Chris Keller, hey guys, great weekend for Orlando soccer. That's right, my friend. You're completely right, Mr. Chris. James Regis, better to be safe with Ojeda and a good opportunity to give Duncan a longer run. He needed it as he appeared to be cramping at the 55th minute. Yeah, I agree. I agree 110%. I mean, I said it on the last spot. I'm like, give Duncan a chance. I think he's definitely gonna, he's coming. He's coming to his senses. Hopefully, in this next upcoming game, which this team just received 7 goals, so we better score a couple of them for sure. Air Vega, that Marco goal made me run around my house. Thank you, Air Vega. Appreciate it. Salty H2O, poor Atuesta missing his goal. I could see his disappointment. Yeah, he was sad, man. But, in the end, this is a collective effort, and that's what Oscar tries to ingrain in his players' minds. And eventually, I think he gets the support not only from Ivan, but also for Luiz, Muriel, a lot of his Colombian brethren, and he's able to move on. But obviously, it's unlucky. I love the fact how good Brecalo's playing as well. He needs to stay healthy, and we're getting into May, guys, and May is going to be those first 2 weeks of May. People are going to want to kick our ass. It's part of my friends. They want to try to play overly aggressive, and and we have some players that are I wouldn't say injury prone, but they could get some knocks and then be out for a couple games. John, you're putting the upcoming schedule right here. So we got, Chicago, right, coming up. We're going to Chirac. And then we go to play No Me Gusta Rowdy right there. Right there, top of on a stadium that everybody that's from Orlando, it's going there from Orlando. Take a picture, a lot of pictures, because that stadium will be gone. This is probably the last derby ever played there in history. It's one of the last soccer games, the real soccer games that matter, are going to be played in that stadium. Then you got Orlando, New England. This is what I'm talking about. Orlando, New England at home. Then on Wednesday, Charlotte, top seeded Charlotte, right? They have a big stick, right now. And then our arch nemesis over there, right? Inter Miami. So those 3 games right there, if we're able to get obviously 9 points, it would be ideal, right? It'll be I think everybody's gonna be Papi in 110%. But even if we get 4 points out of that, but it's gonna be a tough. I mean, so we gotta be physically we gotta rest Ojeda. That's what I'm trying to say. That's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
we rested Ojeda.
I mean, we're about to have 2 weeks coming,
Yeah.
So, and for the pod, that means we're gonna start doing 2 cities. So whenever we have a Wednesday game, we'll do a Thursday podcast afterwards to review and preview that before we have a weekend match as well. So
We could maybe do
look out for
a
that extra content.
yeah, maybe for Wednesday, because Wednesday I can't make it to the Charlotte game. We can maybe do a what do you call watch along, right?
Yes, we could possibly do that. If everyone wants to watch along, let us
Yeah.
know. We will happily do that for the away, the home Charlotte game. So maybe you could do that
Oh,
while
look,
I'm
Alex
there.
Alex put a comment
Yes.
here. We
Yes,
should have 9 games in May. 5th round of the U.S. Open Cup is
you
also.
you beat me to it, Alex. I was gonna say that as well.
Why is it not there?
It's here, but if we go through potential of another game, which I'm sure we will.
Oh, okay.
Knock on wood, gotta
Well-
happen against Tampa.
well, look.
Clearly. Going through, then they add another game somewhere in here. Our schedule's pretty tight, right? We're playing
It's
the
very
10th,
tight.
the 14th, the 18th. This is
May
this
May
is every
suck.
3 days right here. So if they put in an Open Cup game, I'm not sure when. We might have to move one of these. I don't know. Like, it really may. It might have to be June. I think it's going to be rough. If we
Yeah,
add
May is gonna be
Open
rough.
Cup game there, so they'll have to figure that one out. But for right now, starting next week, we are going to be into, obviously next Wednesday we're going to be playing Tampa, and then we'll be home to New England on the 10th as well. So 2 games next week. And then
The Tampa
continue on
game, I haven't gotten the credentials. I don't know if I have to call the Rowdies or not, but I mean, honestly, I'm gonna definitely be there. Like
Yeah.
after work, I'll be there 110%.
I will be there in the
In spirit.
section. Yeah, no, I'm going to be there in the section that they've given to us for.
You're gonna be there.
I'm going to be there. I am been nice enough to be able to jump in with the Ruckus bus, so I'm going to be on the Ruckus bus.
Oh, okay,
Heading
cool.
over there and hanging out with all of the Ruckus guys to watch that game. So that's going to be exciting. They're going to put us in the pen, I'm sure, against Tampa. In the cage, they like to put us in. But Luis, we'll make sure you get in the press box too, so we can cover this one just like we would at any other home game.
It's gonna be one of the last few I-4 derbies probably in a long time.
For sure. I think it's not very often we see it, so that's why I'm making.
Now,
a
I do
Wednesday
feel
trip.
though they should put a B team on this.
Do you want to talk about Chicago first before we get
we'll
into
talk
Tampa
Chicago.
next week? Anything else you want to say on the Atlanta game?
No, it was a phenomenal win. Now we're gonna be facing Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
Chris Mueller apparently was injured the last game, but
I mean, we have 4 clean sheets in a row. That's great.
Yeah.
Alex Freeman is on fire,
On
everybody is talking about him in the Twitter sphere. All the U.S. national team people are starting to get onto this, and
I don't see
I think there's talk of that. There's talk of Bournemouth. There's all sorts of things. So he's blowing up.
I don't see Alex Freeman putting a Chris Mueller. I don't see him putting a Chris Mueller right there.
He's blowing up Alex Freeman. I mean, what a meg for that goal. The way him and Duncan celebrated, that was great. You'd love to see it. The whole day was just perfect. It was a perfect, chef's kiss. That's what we like to see when Atlanta come to town. Send them packing with a 3-0 beating. And now, Luis, we got to go away to Chi-Town. Speaking of beatings, I'm not sure who saw this, but I got to set it right here. The last game for Chicago, they took an absolute pasting from Nashville. Now, Nashville have gotten better this year, but to let them put 7 goals on you, Sam Sturridge got 5, Hani Mukhtar got 2, this guy Palacios got another 1, is an absolute beating on Chicago away from home at Nashville. They managed to get 2 goals themselves. They are improved under now Greg Berhalter. So there's no love lost for Greg, I'm sure. Luis, your thoughts on this new Chicago under Greg and the 7-2 beatdown they just took from Nashville.
Yeah, for sure. This was a clobbering, 110%. This Chicago team is with a record of 3 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws after 10 matches. I do want to say that despite the loss, we need to really keep an eye. They have a really good midfielder that played in Denmark. I believe his last name is Schinker. Hold on, I have it right here. Schinkernagel. Philip Schinkernagel.
Zinkernagel. Yeah, Zinkernagel.
Yeah. Zinkernagel. Yeah. 30-year-old. He playing in Copenhagen. Left winger. He could also play the 10, kind of like what Facu used to do. He played the left, the right, and the middle. And the dude already, based on my score sheet here, he scored his 3rd goal of the season with the Fire. And also, him and Hugo Kuipers are going to be, I think, the two. Right now, Hugo Kuipers, it's on the race for the MLS Golden Boot. I don't know. How can those teams like get MLS Golden Boot? You know what I mean? Like usually I don't want to say the crappy teams, but usually the teams that don't do so swell, their strikers get the Golden Boot. Like Benteke was the same thing with DC. But so I do feel this is a game that definitely we have the upper hand on. Right now, we are definitely defensively super solid. We're not conceding in the last 4 matches. We're going to be the first real challenge. Really, they're the really good 2 players are going to have. So I'm sure Oscar's already watched some film on Kuipers, watched some film on Sinkernagel, and they're going to be able to definitely, just make sure they're not posing any threats. Now, I do want to say that on the head-to-head, we defeated Chicago on a 4-2 score line in 2024 with Facu Torres scoring twice. And then we also tied on last May 29th with Kuipers tying it up for Chicago. In 2023, we won 3-1 in Orlando. And Chicago's last win against Orlando City was a 3-1 result in 2021. So, yeah. And they've never won at home against us since 2019. So that's very interesting. Wow. So it's a game of first. It's a game that, people say, you're breathing life to this team. So Orlando, if they fall, they're going to give life to Chicago, essentially. They're going to get some momentum.
I mean,
and we can't afford that.
Chicago going to want to come back strong after a 7-2, beat down. And then they're in their own house. Stats wise, on SofaScore, the overall rating, we have a 7.0. They have a 6.77. We both scored 18 goals. We've only conceded 12, which at one point we were, conceding a lot of goals. Obviously not now. They've conceded 22 with that 7 they just got. So consistently more, both assists of 12. I feel like the attack is somewhat similar. Like they've gotten a lot better in the attack. They've got very good wingers. Kuipers is doing well this year. I'll talk a little bit more about other players in their team in a minute. But like you said, Luis, defensively, I mean, those 4 clean sheets for us recently have put us in the plus on the defensive stats. We're looking a lot better from that perspective. So I imagine we're going to go there and want to do a little bit of old school, this might be a bit of Pappy Bowl, right? We might need to see a bit of old school. Let's go in, get the 1-0, make it very difficult for them defensively, and, hit them on the counter. I think is probably the tactic we're going to go for. Not that I want to play scared, but I just think they're a team that more than us, like, have to score in transition, I think. I'm not sure they're really great at breaking teams down. And if we are able to go there and sit in a low block and, frustrate them, and then release the likes of Muriel and Pasalic Angulo on the counterattacks, that could be pretty, devastating towards their their defense that is clearly not very good or has got some holes in it for sure. So I think we need to play our defense against their attack and probably, come out on top in this one. If we have an open game, it could go anywhere, I think, right? Either way.
Yeah, I mean, tactically, the Fire, like you said, are going to rely on Kuipers and Sinkernagel to break through Orlando's massive defense. So, they're going to try to come back really aggressive. They're playing at home. I don't know how many people go to their games, but definitely, that definitely is going to be a little bit of a boost on them. And like you said, Orlando needs to stay defensively compact, especially in shape within 90 minutes, looking to definitely frustrate the Fire and just hit him with Muriel and Ojeda. And I think this is going to be a really good matchup between having a really hot, kind of like Carlos Hill. Like when Carlos Hill first came into the league, he was super hot, or like a Diego Rossi when he first came into the league, he was super hot. Now Sinkernagel is in that mode right now. It'll be good to see what defensive tandem in the midfield is going to handle him essentially. It will, because his creativity, if Chicago wants to beat Orlando, it has to go through him. And so if you break him down in a defensive block, I think they lose 50% of their attack or more.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Gutierrez, Bamba, Zinkenagel, Kuiper, like their front four is good and is dangerous, and we got to watch out for all four of those, in my opinion. I think Jonathan Bamba is really underrated in what he does, and he's really fast. So, it's going to be an issue. Like Alex Freeman's got to keep up with Bamba, and Brecalo, if we're playing him at left back, he's got to do a good job on Zinkenagel. Gutierrez, I think we can handle him in the midfield.
My cousin's there.
I imagine Cesar will do a good job now that he's back. Yeah, right. That's right, Luis. Your cousin Pineda is in the team.
Maybe I can get into the game for free.
They've got Gutman, who's a very attacking left winger, like left back. Sorry, he'll kind of get up and put crosses in. Jack Elliott, who used to play for Philly,
we wanted him. Remember?
Yeah, and
that was your boy.
I like Jack Elliott. He's a good defender, but he's getting older. Chris Brady, they always have good goalkeepers in Chicago. They've just like this, I don't know, an ever-ending stream of like great goalkeepers. And Chris Brady is a young goalkeeper who's really doing well for them and performing, but he can't bail them out all the time, even though he tries to. But yeah, it's Greg Berhalter ball, right? It's winger ball, like attacking. They all get up the field together. They all press. I just think we have a better defensive structure when we want to. So I think if we're able to, put some men behind the ball and then spring on the counter, that's, I imagine, what we're going to do in this game. Even though it might look a bit negative, I think it's probably the right tactic as to trying to play them in an open shootout where we got to score more goals than them. And maybe that's what Oscar wants to do, but I don't think he will.
We may see. There's no specific injury updates.
This was last game. They had Leonardo Barroso out, Chase Gasper out, Romanique Kouame out, Chris Mueller out, but not due to injury. So I don't know what's up.
Yeah, he's writing his part 2 of his book.
That's why Chris is.
That's right.
Chris is on sabbatical. David Parema, a lower body, and Carlos Duran, lower body.
Sorry.
I don't know. No, I will not. Chris Mueller.
I have his book.
I'm still
see
upset
it? I have
about
his book.
him. So whatever.
I really have his book.
He went to Scotland, comes back, and wants to go live in Chicago. Fine.
The funny part that you mentioned this is that now we partner with the Black Knights, And guess who's in the Black Knights? What club's in the Black Knights from Scotland?
Hibernian.
The Hibs.
The Hibs. There you go.
There you
Wow.
go.
Yes, that was them all out last game. I imagine because none of these guys were questionable or like.
Mueller's gonna be back. I guarantee you.
Mueller will decide that he's no longer injured for this one.
I
The
don't
rest
know
of these
why.
guys
He
are out.
also
Though.
has this little. He has this little sting with Orlando.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got issues, but for us, Fabian Loyola was out last game. Cesar Araujo was questionable, but I think he would have played.
I feel
if
he's going to be
it
back.
wasn't for the fact that he was having a baby. Edo Tuesta was questionable and played, obviously, the whole game almost. Ramiro Enrique says questionable, but I don't imagine that was a newer injury.
No.
And then Jerome Gerbet is also on there as well. So I think Cesar and Atuesta are most likely. We'll go in the lineups, but I think hopefully they'll both play again in this one.
Yeah, they're getting really creative with number one, guys. The club they deserve the right not to mention what exactly they have, but they're getting really creative. And I talked to somebody from the club about this. They're gonna start putting that upper extremity, like it's like because I'm like I told them, are you really like serious? You're putting this stuff like this is serious, like.
I mean,
and then they're like, so what do you want me to put? Like, I could easily not, just put belly button down, or I could put foot, and not tell you which one it is.
I mean,
I'm not gonna say who told me that, but I'm gonna say hello.
This is announced across the league, so it's nice that we get something at least. Yeah. We get something.
Good, man. They're giving us something, man. Good journalism.
Yeah. But this doesn't come out till literally like the night before. So for us and what we do, it's really hard to know until the day before. But let's go ahead, Luis.
And let's go to the lineup.
Do you have that ready for us?
Yep. Let me share right here real quick.
Awesome. Also, I want to say from the Atlanta game, Luis, Nico Rodriguez played a fair few minutes. He didn't get it on the score sheet, but he was out there. He had some moments. He did have some moments. So shout out to him. Colin Gusky got on the score sheet. Not got on the score sheet. Came off onto the field. Caraballo as well. So both the GA, they were announced. I don't know if you were not at the stadium, you probably didn't see that, but it was on social media that all of the Generation Edition U18s came out and were clapped and everybody celebrated them. So all in all, the Atlanta game was just great, man.
I do want to tell the club that I do want to tell the club that they should put the trophy of the GA Cup in the vault. I don't know if they're going to do that or that's the plan, but I think it would be cool to give the OCB guys and the potential OCB, once Caraballo's in the first team for good, and once there's a pass of the baton or passing of the torch, they're able to see. You see that GA Cup trophy. That's what you could aspire to right there at the vault. So and plus it'll give OCB some legitimacy. So we have the lineup here. So Galese. We're putting Galese on our back four. Freeman. Schlegel. I think Jansen and Brecolo. I think we're going to see this again. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think as much as there was a good comment here and say, Alex, you said Kuipers played well against Rodrigo. Would prefer to have Brecolo as a center back. I do think there's, I like Brecolo as a center back, but I think right now he's needed at left back. And like you could maybe put Kyle Smith at the left back and then you could start Brecolo and Jensen. But I think Oscar, he likes his Schlegel-Jensen partnership. So I don't think he has any, he doesn't see an issue with Schlegel in there. He's going to leave him in there with no problem. So I think for him, he'd rather just keep Brecolo and keep the back four the same. I mean, it's been, 4 clean sheets? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So right now, I think any change in that back line that Oscar feels like is not needed, he's just not going to do.
Yeah,
So,
110%. I think this back four is exciting. They're doing a great job, and I think we should keep it.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially
as long as Schlegel doesn't do stupid stuff, he's a very good defender. Like I'm not.
no,
I think that's the thing. Like people get annoyed with him, but 95% of the time he's very good at his job. It's just the 5% of the time he does dumb stuff that we get frustrated.
no. Also, this is a team that, I mean, yes, they do have two really good attackers right there with Kuipers and all those gentlemen that we mentioned, but I do also want to say that we can kill this game fast too. I mean, how many chances we created against Atlanta as well? You know, how many went in? So we could create as many chances as possible as well with them. And if we scored 2 or 3 before the half, I mean, and if Brecalo wants to rest, I feel confident putting Kyle there or putting even Santos there. You know, at this point, you know, we're heading into May, and that is going to be the battle, and everyone needs to be, you know, because people say, oh, Orlando always goes through these trials and tribulations in certain games. I think this is the year that if we really want to close the chapter of previous years of Orlando City's performances, we should beat Inter Miami again, and I think we need to be and Charlotte, because we've grown. Those games against Charlotte lately have been pretty crazy. So we need to be 110% in shape. So either way, in the midfield, John, Atuesta, and you bringing Cesar back.
I think Cesar, and yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think that's the move.
And then I feel Ojeda is definitely going to start on this one too, again.
Yeah.
And then right here on the right, you're going to see Marco Pasalic, which his left foot's his weapon. And then on the left, Ivan.
Yep.
Ivancho. And then right up top.
Yeah, I think it's back to that.
Muriel.
Because we're going to play I think a really rotated squad against the Rowdies. Like I think, you know, the likes of like Nico Martinez are going to start against the Rowdies, like
Nico Rodriguez.
Sorry, Martinez Rodriguez. Yes. So yeah, I think this is like your best 11 goes out against Chicago, and then we can rest guys, rotate. Honestly, I like our second team, like our B team, is very good. So I think the idea of like starting a game with Dagger at right back instead of Freeman is nothing really wrong with that whatsoever.
No, I asked you a question real quick in this scenario, John. We beat Chicago. Let's say we beat Chicago 4-0.
Right.
Orlando City on the road. On the way. Yeah. All right. And then against Tampa Bay, we play a rotated squad.
Yeah.
We lose 1-0.
No. Don't even go
You
there.
throw all the season away, Poppy out, let's go, bye. Or what you do?
No. I mean, it's not gonna happen for one. We're just still not even gonna go there.
All I'm saying is,
like
if you're gonna rotate,
Oscar knows how important
have your 4 best players on the bench just in case.
Exactly, like he knows how important the Open Cup is. He'll rotate to a point where he feels safe against an opponent, but he's not gonna risk the Open Cup. I'm sure not. No. But I think this is definitely our lineup for Chicago.
Yeah, this is going to be the lineup of Chicago. We're going to have Gillespie up top. We got Freeman, Schlegel, Jansen, Brecalo, Cesar Araujo, Edward Atuesta, all right, as your double pivot tandem there. In the mid, as your number 10, Martin Ojeda. On your right, Marco Pasalic. On the left, Ivan Angulo. And right up top, as your number 9, Luis Muriel. That'll be the lineup against Chicago. That's our prediction. Now, you want to do predictions before we close, John? And then we'll do some comments real quick.
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's read the comments while you get that ready. We have Mr. Stream Jesus. Thank you, sir. Great Holy Week. I'm very Happy to say that you rose again, my friend, and always remember you every Sunday. 3 bangers. Can I get a whoop whoop, John?
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
There you
Whoop,
go.
whoop. Yeah, I mean, it was great for the
Yeah.
city of Orlando, right? Because it was the Magic
The
one, the Pride
Magic.
one,
Yeah,
and the
the
Orlando
pride.
City
Yeah.
one.
That pride,
Well,
we're gonna be talking a little bit.
yeah, but we'll talk a little bit about OCB as well, who let
Yeah.
us down, sadly.
Yeah. Well, I think they celebrate a little much with a lot of chocolate milk.
Played. What is this salty you mean played? I don't know what you mean by this.
I don't know.
Did I say something wrong? Sorry.
No.
Um,
Up the
alrighty.
JJ. Great atmosphere at the game. Kuipers played well against Rodrigo Schlegel. I would prefer to have Breckel as a center back, says Alex. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Predictions.
Luis, what do you think? I also want to say, if you're looking on the screen here, you can see I highlighted the times. We've been right 3 times so far this year, Luis. Last game, you got it right again with a 3-0, bang on the money against Atlanta. I got it right against the Galaxy with a 2-1, and you got it right against DC earlier in the season with a 4-1. So far, you're up 2 to my 1 on correct guesses.
I
On
gotta
the
get a new
season, so
championship belt.
I gotta catch up. But yeah, congratulations to you. You nailed it perfectly. So what do you think this week?
This is going to be a low scoring match.
Yeah.
I think to me this is going to be a 2-1 Orlando City win.
Okay.
And Chris Mueller will actually score for the Fire after 3 million years.
Okay, 2-1. Let's go for me. I'm gonna say a 2-0.
Oh wow, okay.
I don't think Chicago. I think our clean sheets continue. I have faith in the boys. I mean, like, we didn't let Philly score. We didn't let Red Bulls score. We didn't let Montreal score. Granted, we didn't score, but then we haven't let Atlanta score. That's a lot of good attacks. I know Chicago's is really good too. Like, it's definitely up there in the East as one of the stronger attack 4, in my opinion. But I just think there's something right now about the way Pedro's playing and that back 4 is playing. There's these clean sheets. I gotta hope they keep coming, man. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0.
All right, and that's gonna be our predictions: 2-1 for me and 2-0 for John. Hopefully, it's a W against the Fire, and we put away that Fire, John. Hopefully.
Yes, indeed. You want to quickly talk about OCB before we get out of here?
Yeah, well, a disappointing result. I do want to say I did put a video of the reaction of the coach. Look, he sounded disappointed. To me, yeah, it was a little bit of he was heated. Whether you want to see it or not, he was a little heated. He didn't really want to say a lot. There were only literally 2 questions. It's a 50-second clip, guys. So, he said, look, we needed to come out swinging on this game, and we didn't in the first half. And then
we did too early on.
We reacted too late, but he said it in a way that he put his players on blast. That's not the way I took it. So I leave it to your interpretation. If you're watching, the shorts right there on our YouTube channel, you can check it out. But it's a tough loss. But I'm not gonna kill these guys over this loss. I mean, yeah, the New York Red Bulls still look really good.
They are a very good academy.
They're one of the top teams in the next.
But
so.
The coach is partly right that we really started out poorly in this game.
Yeah.
I watched this first half and it was really rough until John Solis managed to get one back. So, but yeah, the boys kept pushing. Justin Ellis came out. He did well.
He's a phenom, man. Like the Undertaker.
But we did have a very strong lineup out here. So I think OCB will be disappointed. I think this is a really strong OCB lineup, probably one of our best lineups that we could put out. So I think the boys knew that this was a big game against Red Bulls, and they just really started out badly, and then we're kind of chasing the game, honestly, the whole game. So it wasn't meant to be, but they are still having a very good season. They're still up here. Where are they? They're in 12th. This is the whole league. We don't want that. We only want our side. But they are doing well. They were up on this eastern side. Here they are in 5th. So they're still able to, they're in reach of 13th is second, and they're on 11
What are they
points.
feeding the kids in Chattanooga, man? Like,
yeah, they're really, this is
powerful
very
price
tight
tagging?
here in the top of the table. Chattanooga are a full professional team. They're not, just a U23 second team. They are a full men's professional team. So I'm
So
not
these are
surprised.
adults playing in the next pro?
Oh yeah, that's that's just its own club. It's not a next. Yeah, there's a couple of those. So, there you go. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we're wishing they're gonna bounce back. I'm sure. I mean, this is a great group of kids, and Justin Ellis, to me, I think if we go down with some sort of injuries right up top at 9, Oscar, to me, that kid's special, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody who's listened here, Luis, and has joined us live. And thank you for in the comments. If you are watching on YouTube, please go over there and subscribe. I know a lot of people watch our content but are not subscribed to the channel. Please go ahead and subscribe. We're so close to 1.5 K on the subs, so we're really close to that 1,500 mark. Please go ahead and sub there. You can hit the bell icon. You can get notifications every time Luis drops a video, every time we go live, press conferences, shorts, anything that we make on YouTube, as well as all of our socials. You can find us on X, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok. And right now, in a minute, we're going to go ahead and do the Orlando Pride Pod. We're going to take a 5-minute break, but we'll be back here live to talk everything Orlando Pride and the great weekend that they had with a comeback 3-2 victory over Angel City. So that's all the socials. Please go ahead and follow us there if you are not already.
Yeah, follow us on our socials. Thank you guys for your support. All 62 people of you. And again, Vamos Orlando. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Vamos Orlando!